Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Bruno's RPG Talk. So, it's been a while, let's get to it. This episode is about OSR Sci-Fi, but specifically two games, the ones I own. Um, the one I've had for a few years now, Machinations of the Space Princess, a game that I really like. And then the new OSR Sci-Fi darling, like the old school Renaissance Sci-Fi, like D20 base, open gaming license, blah blah blah, game, White Star. This is kind of like the darling online RPG drive-through, like blogs. Everywhere I look around, like if someone is making an OSR sci-fi game, it's like White Star. That's what's going on lately. And I wanted to explore that a little bit because I've made some observations regarding the two systems. I want to say right away, I like both of them. They're basically the same game when you get down to it. And I think both of them do things. How can I put this? Both will have their advantages over the other one. So I want to state that right away. Like I'm not saying that either of them is flawed. I'm just saying like both will do things differently, and therefore, depending what you want to do, one will be better than the other one. So first of all, if you want choice, Machinations is definitely the one that you have to go to. Seriously, because one thing I've noticed, and this is not to bash White Star, they're different games, and afterwards I'm going to say why White Star could be the better choice for you, depending on what you want. But seriously, a lot of stuff I've seen on Drive-Thru RPG, it's kind of like, oh, this alien racist class, so you can play this kind of character for White Star, and I look at that and I'm like, well, yeah, I could have just done that with Machinations, with the single Machinations main book. Just like this one book has lots of race traits, and the classes are versatile because it uses skill points, so it doesn't need to go to class features to do stuff. You just choose the right skills. So, like the aristocrat and pilot here is only one expert class here with the different skills. So you can basically create your own. Like I remember in the Google Plus Machinations group, which I don't remember if it's official or not, but the writer of Machinations is in it. And basically, at some point, like just as a test, I grabbed like this alien creature from Divine Heart, I guess. I don't remember where from. But it was like a centaur type character with a norm cannon. An alien, not a like fantasy centaur, but just as a test. And I was like, okay, so with Machinations, like the race traits would be like cyborg, large, and fast. A centaur, 4 legs, so fast and large. Okay. Now, if I wanted to grab that picture and just right away make a player character, I mean, for White Star, of course, you can make any NPC alien race you want. But let's say I just want to like buy the book with a single White Star book. I want to make that character. I'd be like, well, I guess it's the alien brute, and you also have cybernetics in there. But then, like the character won't go faster. So yeah, of course, any GM worth their salt can go, okay, you know what, like let's take away Dark Vision from the Alien Brute and I'll give you like a faster movement rate. Okay, that's fair enough. But that's just something that I want to specify right out of the gate. Like a lot of stuff that you'll have to buy for a White Star, you can just do with this single book. I see like there's this really actually really charming supplement on RPG Drive-Thru that someone made to play a magical girl on White Star, which was, I found that kind of like adorable. You could just do that with Machinations. With the race traits, with the classes available, you could have pulled off a magical girl. Just maybe like with a Scion class, I guess, or even without. Like you can just choose a few race traits that give you specific powers that could be considered magical girl powers. So that's a silly example. Like I'm not looking at sci-fi games going like, how can I insert a magical girl in there? But just as an example that, one game will give you lots of choices right away from the gate, and this one you kind of have to fidget with it. You have to change it around, and you have to look for source books maybe, stuff like that. That said, talking about fidgety and all that, it's way quicker to create characters with this one. I'll give you that. If you're a game master with little time, this isn't like Machinations is not like 3.5 like 3rd edition D&D Pathfinder. It's not to that degree. You don't have a lot of feats to choose and all that, but you do have to choose skill points. You do have to allocate stuff and calculate how how many skill points a character would have regarding to their statistics, class, and level. So it is more fidgety in that sense. You do have to do more prep time. If you don't have a lot of prep time, you might want to go with White Star. That's definitely a plus on the side of White Star. It keeps it simple for the rules. One thing I'm less of a fan of regarding White Star, however, is, well, one thing I want to address. Like, Machinations is not a real, it's not a balanced game. It's not. Race traits, like, some of them are way more powerful than the other ones. That's okay. Honestly, at some point the game master has to do his or her job, and if players really get out of hand with it, we just let them know, or whatever, or you just roll with it, whatever. But I mean, like, at some point, all that choice, yeah, it doesn't all balance out, but for what this game was trying to do, I think it was important to be able to do like all sorts of exotic aliens, So for White Star, the way it balances out stuff, like, it is balanced, but it uses a tool I really hate. Well, I mean, it is more balanced than Machinations would be in general, but also because it's easier. There's less stuff to keep track of. So, but anyway, I'm really like getting like stretching this level limits. I hate those. I just hate level limits. So the alien classes and stuff like that, they have level limits. The robots, and I found like it's a really poor way to balance things out because during the first levels you'll just be more like, if you grab one of those classes, you'll just be more powerful than the other ones. Period. That's it. So there's no balance there as you're playing. Doesn't feel like it's balanced. And then afterwards, when you reach your max level and the other guys keep advancing, it's kind of like, well, now I can't really play my character anymore. Or you can, but it's not. You're not gonna make him better. You're not gonna progress. So it's like all or nothing. Like, either you're better, and then suddenly you're just worth nothing compared to the other guys who keep advancing. To be honest, and to lead to maybe another aspect of White Star that I have to point out, it's that it does mention that game masters. Okay, I'm gonna read it because this is kind of relevant. Just someone, please. Okay, character retirement. Each referee has his or her own style and a preference for a given range of character levels for their games. The referee has a final say on how and when retirement works for a campaign. Some ignore retirement altogether and simply extrapolate and extend the tables to include levels beyond those shown. I have a huge problem with this book, and like, not personally because I'm familiar with like Open Gaming License, OSR, like just D20 based games in general, all in you. I'm familiar with them, I can tweak them around, I can do my own stuff. Like, I run a Castles and Crusades game, and it's house ruled to a degree where it's, anyway, it's almost its own game now. It's not really, it is Castles and Crusades superficially. So I'll be the first one to be like, well, if this rule doesn't work for me, I'm going to change it. Like, I would get rid of level limits. That said, like, that didn't help at all. If I want to change the rules, I'll do it. And if you're going to mention, yeah, you can change that around, at least give an optional rule. Like, it doesn't help at all to just say, yeah, like, you as the referee might want to change it. I'm not going to give you a rule for it. I'm not gonna give any guidelines. I'll just mention that some referees like to change it. Like, so I'm just thinking, like, there's two types of referees that are gonna fall in that. It's like, either it's a referee who's a veteran who will be like, well, duh, or it'll be a new referee who might actually be like, oh yeah, I could do that. How do I do that? And there's no guidelines. Whereas at least in Machinations, like, there's like, for example, it uses for armor. It uses like, instead of increasing armor class, it'll like soak damage. But it'll give you a rule where it's like, well, if you prefer to do it the more traditional D20 style, this is like the guideline for converting damage absorption into armor class bonus. So I see a flight that White Star really has. It'll just assume that the referees are all veterans, while at the same time giving like non-advice. There's even stuff that's not even mentioned. Like, it doesn't have any skills, so that's an advantage for a lot of people over machinations. If you don't have time to fidget with those and all that, it depends on your taste. That's not better or worse. However, I'm reminded of like crypts and things where skills are saving throws. Basically, you use saving throws for skills, and they give you like a one-page guideline, not even that maybe, in crypts and things where it's like, this is kind of like how it would work, the the modifiers you would use. And I don't know if I overlooked it, but I haven't found it here in White Star, so that's another thing. Like, I feel like White Star is really not new player friendly, even though it's more rules like the Machinations. Machinations will guide new referees a lot more, new game masters. So there's that. Finally, I would say White Star might be a little bit more readily compatible with other OSR stuff because you need less prep time and because the stats are more familiarly what you expect. That said, it's like very slightly. Like, it's not this huge thing where like Machinations is not like grabbing Pathfinder and running an OSR game with adventure and you're like, oh well, what would the feats be? And it's not to that degree. And even though it has different sorts of armor class, you can, like, if you grab an adventure from some OSR, it has a single armor class. You just use that one for ranged and close combat, stuff like that. So it's not like White Star wins by a lot, like on that degree. It just wins by like this much, like just a little bit. But yeah, overall, believe it or not, I know I've maybe been a little bit critical on White Star. I feel like both have their place at the gaming table. If you're a game master with very little prep time, go with White Star. If you and your players don't necessarily want to do the whole, oh, I want to make really weird exotic aliens, I just want to do kind of like a quasi Star Wars thing, like, or, well, even though Star Wars has a lot of exotic aliens, but maybe in the sense that what the aliens can do, they're still very human-like, like in Star Wars you don't see, at least in the movies, you don't see like aliens who can turn into goo or stuff like that. So to that degree, like White Star will do the thing. But if you want to really go crazy with it, if you don't mind taking a little bit more time to prepare, Machinations will do it more for you. I really feel like it's like, how can I put this? I really feel like it's a good thing that White Star is out there because for some reason Machinations, like the old school people, didn't really respond that well to it overall. Because it has skills, it has like more crunch, if you will. So a lot of people didn't give it a fair shot because of that. And I've also seen a lot of bias against the creator of the game himself, James Desborough. I don't know. Like, I've read a little bit like the controversies against him. I find all of it very exaggerated. Also, I don't really care. I don't really care. I just care if the game is fun or not. I mean, I like the guys, like, if the guy went around kicking old ladies, like, maybe I would care, but I mean, like, the controversies that they found against him, I was like, really? Okay, whatever. So, seriously, like, I do prefer Machinations, but I'm still happy White Star is around because it's attracting a lot of more, like, of supplement materials for OSR Sci-Fi that I'll use for Machinations. And, again, if I have new players that I don't want to, like, swamp too much with, like, skills and stuff like that, maybe like really new players, I might go with White Star and convert afterwards to Machinations. But overall, like, I could see myself buying White Star supplements, and because at the end of the day, the OSR, it's like just one big house ruled melting pot that you can use however you see fit. It's what I love about it. It's why I haven't bothered with D&D 5th edition. I don't need it. I'm happy it went that way with D&D, but you know what? That's another video. That's another video that I might film right now. So yeah, it seems like I've been harsh on White Star, but I'm not being harsh. I'm just, my preference is with Machinations, but like both do what they need to do very well. This wanted to be like really old school OSR in sci-fi, like pure OSR. This one was like OSR as a basis, and then extrapolating to create like the heavy metal Star Wars when it's the Mos Eisley Cantina or Jabba the Hutt's Palace kind of sci-fi. So both were going for very different things. They both succeeded, and I just want to make that clear. I recommend both of them. I have both of them. I'm happy to have both, and I will use both over the years. May the Force be with you.